People often wonder how I got so damn invested in watching almost every thriller movie, series, or docus out there. It's simple. I started early, way early, and with the OG team. A ragtag group of friends roaming in their blue van and solving mysteries with a Great Dane whose sole motto in life was to get treats. Y'all know I'm talking about Scooby-Doo. For the majority of our lives, we believed that the monsters Scooby, Shaggy, and the others encountered were just scammers. However, I'm about to change that notion because it turns out there was a horde of real, spooky things the gang fought.
I'll swat you like a fly!
The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Not one, not two, but our poor Scooby ended up freeing 13 ghosts on what was supposed to be a vacation. Believe me, I am not making this up. Back in 1985, an animated series by the name of The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo ran on ABC for one season, and of course, had 13 episodes. During the initial parts, Shaggy, Scooby, Daphne, Scrappy-Doo, Scooby's young nephew, and their new member, Flim Flam, ended up in the Himalayas after Daphne's plane went off course while they were en route to Honolulu. Worse, they landed near a village of werewolves. Eventually, Shaggy and Scooby found their way inside a temple where two ghosts, namely Weird and Bogle, tricked them into opening a chest of demons. And bam! 13 of the most terrifying spirits and demons to ever walk the earth were unleashed. Horrible things started happening to the group, like a dark sorcerer, Maldor, casting a sleeping beauty spell on Daphne, the chest being stolen by a shadow demon, and another demon called Zomba transporting Scooby and Shaggy inside a film, which happened to be, wait for it, the son of a bride of a ghost of Frankenstein. The obstacles were countless, and curiously enough, Zomba, Maldor, or the others, including Reflector Scepter, a demon of the mirror realm, or Nakara, a succubus enchantress, were all real. There was no way one could have removed a burlap bag from their face to reveal a cunning person. Now, the catch was, those who had freed the 13 entities had to be the ones to lock them up, which means it had to be Scooby and Shaggy. Ultimately, the entire group wanders across several places to recapture the ghosts, and is assisted by Flim Flam's warlock friend, Vincent Van Ghoul. Yeah, that was scary.
Thank you for solving the mystery for me, fools!
Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers. Haunted Manors have to be my favorite horror films genre, and honestly, I did not see one coming with Scooby in it. Needless to say, I loved it, obviously, because once again, the horror was real. I am actually talking about the animated horror comedy movie of 1987, which was quite a hit. As it so happens, Shaggy inherited a mansion, a country estate, and a southern plantation from his uncle, Colonel Beauregard. On that note, I still hope that I have some distant relatives somewhere who has left me a manor and a vineyard. Not being greedy, but you know, a vineyard would be great. Anyway, so Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy started their journey to the place to claim the property. But even before they reached there, a sheriff, Rufus Busby, warned them of the estate being haunted and suggested they better leave. Now at this point, you'd think you have figured out the rest of it. The sheriff was in cahoots with the colonel's creepy servant, Farquaad, and that the things they encountered on the way, like a ghost wolf, a headless horseman, and the spirit of a colonel himself, were just some frauds participating in an elaborate game. And we weren't wrong. Firstly, the servant made it clear that Colonel's huge fortune in jewels was hidden somewhere in the estate, and that it rightfully belonged to him. Of course, he wanted them to leave, and Shaggy too did not like the idea of pushing it further. However, their truck had mysteriously sunk in quicksand, and they had to spend the night there. Of course, the spirits started haunting them. Scrappy was quick to call in the Ghostbusters, the Boo Brothers, who tried to ward off the evil forces without much success. Soon, the movie turned into a heated treasure hunting lore, with the ghosts doing what they were there for, scaring them. Finally, the grand revelation came, and it turned out the ghosts were none other than Sheriff Busby's greedy mother, who orchestrated everything. So, who were the real ghosts? It was the Boo Brothers! Yes! Frico, Miko, and Shriko were actually looking for a place to haunt, and hence came to Shaggy's help. Touched by their gesture and the genuine need for a place to stay, Shaggy gave them the manor to haunt.
What a beautiful nightmare! Shaggy and his friends will be twisting and turning.
Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. You won't guess in 1,000 years what Scooby had to deal with in this 1988 film. His best friend and master, Shaggy, himself turned into a monster. Basically, it was all Dracula's doing. So Dracula happened to organize a race every year with Hollywood's classic monsters like Frankenstein's wife, his wife Repulsa, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Witch Sisters, and others. Of course, Wolfman was also a part of this, but unfortunately, That very year, he decided to retire. This left Dracula desperate to find a new wolfman. His servant helped him with a spell to turn a human into a creature, and as fate would have it, the candidate for his spell was none other than Shaggy. The reason? Shaggy had the bad luck of winning a recent car race. Dracula then sent his minions to capture Shaggy and transform him, and after a couple of failed attempts, due to Scooby and Scrappy interfering at the right time, Shaggy was finally turned. However, he refused to participate in the race and managed to make a deal with Dracula. If he won, the latter would restore his human form. Dracula's ego was hurt by Shaggy's arrogance, and no way was he ready to go through all the trouble to make another Wolfman for the next year. Consequently, he and his henchmen sabotaged Shaggy in every way possible. Still, with the help of the two dogs and his girlfriend Googie, Shaggy won. It's a given that Dracula did not hold up his end of a bargain and claimed there was no way to reverse the transformation. Thankfully, the trio learned that the spell to change Shaggy was in Dracula's spellbook and managed to run with it and turn Shaggy into a human again. Just by the way, Shaggy as a werewolf was a thing to behold.
When the clock strikes midnight, those girls will be revoltized.
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. 1988 was a tough year for Scooby. Right after he freed Shaggy from a werewolf charm, he had to encounter Hollywood monsters all over again. However, this time around, Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy had to deal with the younger versions of the ghouls because they were all the monsters' daughters. When the three were hired as gym teachers at Miss Grimwood's finishing school for girls, they instantly realized that the pupils were none other than Dracula's daughter, Sibella, Elsa Frankenstein, Winnie, the girl of Wolfman, and others like Mummy and Phantom's kids, Tanis and Phantasma respectively. While their souls left their bodies at the sight of this, the worst was yet to come. Being a school, there had to be other staff, right? And there was. Just that the other two residents were paranormal beings too. An octopus butler, a severed white floating hand, a two-headed shark, and a headmistress with a pet dragon. Trust me, they wanted to run. However, the girls grew fond of them, and they melted. Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy stayed in the school training the students for an upcoming volleyball game, and Scooby even rigged it to make the girls win. Soon, they were okay with the idea of having monstrous babies and their students, and over time, grew very protective of them too. In came a dangerous witch, Revolta, and her right-hand man, the Grim Creeper, who wanted to abduct the girls to make them her slaves. She let loose horrendous creatures to capture the girls while Scooby and co. dealt with various supernatural threats, including a well-dweller and a malevolent mirror monster. Revolta used a potion to make them her servants, but Scooby and Shaggy fought for their lives to undo the effects and destroy Revolta's magic. Just when they thought everything was under control, three new girls took admission into the school, and that's where they drew the line. In their defense, it was a gill man, an alien, and a young Godzilla. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Dracula, werewolves, spirits, witches, Scooby and Shaggy fought off almost everything. Yet, something was missing. Zombies. Don't worry. The 1998 flick has got us covered. Tired of always unveiling fake monsters, Fred and Daphne start a television show, determined to take down a real ghost. Shaggy, Scooby-Doo, and Velma also joined their efforts to find a real monster and finally reach Louisiana, New Orleans. There, they heard about an allegedly haunted island known as Moonscar Island. Yes, we have a residential ghost there. It was that of a pirate named Morgan Moonscar. Moonscar was a special ghost. He could transform into a zombie. Despite several paranormal warnings, the group stayed on the island, and there it was. Hordes of zombies chasing Shaggy and Scooby. Daphne and Fred still believed it to be a human culprit. It was a dumb thought, because they literally found voodoo dolls of themselves and a bat nest. It was only after they learned the legend of how a cat god cursed Moonscar when he invaded the island centuries ago. But here's the twist. Simone and Lena were on that island 200 years ago, and when the rest of the settlers were being killed, they invoked the cat god to make them immortal and were transformed into werecats. The wish was granted, and they killed the pirates, but it came at a horrible cost. Every harvest moon, they lured in victims and drained their lives to preserve their immortality. The zombies and ghosts happened to be their previous prey. Fortunately, Shaggy and Scooby disrupt their ritual, causing Simone and Lena to disintegrate. On the bright side, Daphne now had a real horror story to cover on her channel. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. You know what's worse than an evil witch? Her ghost. And that's exactly what Mystery Inc. had to face in this 1999 film. A famous horror author, Ben Ravencroft, helped Scooby, Shaggy, and the team solve a case in a museum in San Francisco. Realizing Velma is a fan, he invited all of them to his hometown of Oak Haven in Massachusetts. Soon, they realized that the place is a thriving tourist spot due to a legend. Get ready. Ben's ancestor, Sarah Ravencroft, was executed for being a witch by the Puritans in 1657, and stories of her spirit haunting the place helped the authorities sell it as a tourist attraction. Ben, however, did not like this, and claimed that Sarah was a Wiccan who just used herbal medicine to heal people. In fact, he even spent years searching for her medical diary to help her formulae and help less fortunate people. Too good to be true. Anyway, when we had Scooby and Shaggy, ghosts could not be far away, and as it so happened, they were the first, as usual, to see Sarah's spirit. But the horror did not last long, and in true Scooby-Doo style, Sarah's ghost turned out to be one of the townsfolk who manipulated the events to help the town's failing business rise again. Then came one of the biggest twists. The group managed to dig up Sarah's diary, and at that moment, everything changed. Of course, it was not a medical book. It was the witch's spell book, and Ben was no horror writer. He was a power-hungry warlock who pulled the strings in a way to lead Mystery Inc. to unearth the spellbook. He then used his magic to release a trapped Sarah from the book in the hopes that she would help him rule the world, but it was Uno reverse time. Sarah was furious having been imprisoned for so long and wreaked havoc. Pumpkin trees came to life, and she enlarged a turkey to horrify everyone. Finally, Velma managed to convince another Wiccan to put her back inside the book, and it worked. Only this time, she pulled Ben along with her. Good riddance.
What aliens want with gold?
Ask them, Shaggy.
Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. Oh man, not aliens. Ugh, give a dog a break. Sadly, Scooby did not get a break, and neither did we. The only difference, we weren't complaining about it. The very next year, they fled from the grips of a witch and warlock, and Shaggy ended up crashing the mystery machine near a small town due to a UFO sighting. In no time, the duo was chased into the town by aliens and finally reunited with the rest. A local told them that the townsfolk had never really seen an alien, but have heard strange noises and seen random lights, and there were even reports of cattle mysteriously vanishing. Dude, it's Alien Activity 101. A whole lot of chaos ensued after this. Shaggy and Scooby get kidnapped by aliens, only to be saved by an apparent undercover government agent, Crystal, and her dog Amber, who was there to investigate the otherworldly activities. When Shaggy took Crystal to the cave where Scooby first found the aliens, they discover a gold deposit, but were chased away by aliens and police. On the other hand, the rest of the team found mechanic Buck to repair their van, and there they met Max, a member of Search for Alien Lifeforms. However, Velma doubted this man from the very beginning, and soon the puzzle pieces came together. The aliens were actually people in costumes who found a 19th century gold mine and came up with this story to claim all the treasure. And there they were, the real aliens. They were none other than Crystal and Amber, who admitted that they caused the entire scene to help expose the frauds. Oof, at least they weren't xenomorphs.
Watch out!
Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Ooh. This one is interesting. Mystery Inc. was up against a monstrous computer virus. When they went to visit their old friend Eric Stauffer to see his prize-winning computer game, they realized that something deadly called a phantom virus had materialized from Eric's game. The virus attacked a teacher and had been rampaging the entire college campus. Oh, before we get to the part where they defeat this weird creature, there is something you should know. The game Eric created was based on the adventures of Mystery Inc. Alright, so what was the way to destroy the phantom virus? The group had to complete every level of the game and find a box of Scooby snacks to get out of a virtual world. Once they escaped from the phantom virus and it was time to get the Scooby snacks, the gang went into an amusement park to find it. And believe it or not, all the fake monsters they fought in life were now real and attacked them. Finally, Scooby's cyber version distracted the phantom virus once again, and the original Scooby managed to get hold of a box, deleted the phantom virus forever, and returned to the real world. Personally, I really love this one. It's like Scooby-Doo in a modern tech world.
The Goblin hour has arrived.
Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King. This one was a Halloween special of 2008. Sorcery, magical artifacts, jack-o'-lanterns, and Scooby being an adorable dum-dum made this movie a really memorable one. In classic Scooby fashion, the treat-hungry doggo caused an accident at the annual carnival, Coolsville Halloween. Understandably, the magician, the amazing Krudsky, was annoyed and denied permission to let Scooby watch his new show. Shaggy stood by his dog, and in retaliation, together they exposed Krudsky as a faux magician. Entire Mystery Inc. got thrown out of a carnival, while a furious Krudsky swore revenge. Enter Fairy Princess Willow, who discovers a powerful magical object in Krudsky's tent, the Goblin Scepter. Ironically, Krudsky himself had no idea real magic had been sitting in his tent all along. Now aware of its power, he hatches a plan to rule the world using the scepter. When Willow tries to stop him, Krudsky knocks her out and steals her magic, turning him into a genuinely dangerous rogue magician. He started causing chaos in no time, and turned the owner of a magic shop, Gibbles, into a rabbit while stealing all his equipment. Poor Gibbles, who was talking to Scooby and Shaggy when this happened, urged them to stop Krudsky. But oh boy, if only it was that easy. Scooby and Shaggy found who the real owner of a Goblin Scepter was. However, they had to reach the Goblin King's castle and get this, a jack-o'-lantern led them to a witch for help. Thankfully, the Grand Witch was a helpful woman and lent them her broomstick, as well as a potion to disguise themselves. They had to use the latter when the Goblin King's guards, Glob and Glum, shot them down when they tried to enter the castle. You'd think the disguises would work, right? Nope, it didn't. By the time Scooby and Shaggy had the potion and entered the castle, the spell had worn off, causing them to end up in a dungeon. However, they are saved by their magical friends. On the other hand, Mystery Inc. figured out that Krudsky made a deal with the Goblin King to have a scepter in exchange for giving the latter Willow. The final showdown was not easy. Mystery Inc. somehow captured the Goblin King, but Krudsky now caused supernatural mayhem and sent an army of goblins to turn people into monsters. Fred, Velma, and Daphne couldn't escape this curse either. Finally, Jack-o'-lantern sacrificed himself to stop Krudsky, and Scooby broke the scepter before returning it to the Goblin King. He then took Krudsky prisoner and restored everyone and everything back to normalcy. Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword. God damn it! Mr. Inc. had to fight a sword ghost. Well, not technically a sword ghost, but an evil spirit of a black samurai. Wait, let me connect the dots. First we have the sword, which was the root cause of all trouble. Basically, a warrior in ancient Japan wanted the master swordsmith, Masamune, to make a blade of great mystical abilities. Masamune said something along the lines of, "Look bro, it's gonna take at least a year." And that gave his apprentice, Muramasa, the chance to make an offer to the warrior. He would forge the sword in half time. Obviously, the warrior chose Muramasa, but his evil spirit corrupted the blade, making it the Sword of Doom and transforming the warrior into a black samurai. Masamune, on the other hand, created the Sword of Fate, and the Green Dragon used it to defeat the Black Samurai and his Sword of Doom. The twist was, the Green Dragon sealed the Black Samurai's soul inside the cursed blade and hid it. However, he left clues for the location on the Destiny Scroll. Decades later, the Black Samurai exhibit suddenly came to life in a museum, and at the same time, Mystery Inc. happened to visit Japan for Daphne's martial arts competition. Yeah, they got dragged into the sword drama, and when Shaggy and Scooby accidentally solved the riddle on the Destiny Scroll, they caused the group to end up on a remote island. And action time! They battle the native and samurai forces, only to realize that the Black Samurai was Sojo, Daphne's teacher, Miss Mirimoto's bodyguard. The woman revealed that she organized everything, including robot ninjas, to resurrect the Black Samurai and take control of the world. But oops, she lost control of it and was defeated by him. Scooby somehow got hold of a Sword of Fate, and with the help of Green Dragon's power, he destroyed the unholy sword and freed the warrior, broke his curse, and made him mortal again. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. This was once again an animated series of the early 2000s, and there was this one monster that deserves recognition, Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were basically a race of creatures from another dimension, and every few thousand years, when the barrier between their worlds and Earth weakened during an event called Nibiru, they visited our world. However, since they had no physical forms, the Anunnaki inhabited various animal bodies, and while some tended to be good, mostly they were evil beings. But here's the biggest revelation in Scooby-Doo. Turns out, the animals who could talk were actually descendants of the Anunnaki. We know what that means. Scooby was one of them. Also, these animals had greater intelligence and longer lifespans than the normal ones. Okay, let's get into the episode. Anunnaki possessed Scooby's girlfriend Nova, who went into a coma-like state. Still, she informed Scooby about Nibiru through dreams and warned him about the evil entity sealed below Crystal Cove. Normal girlfriends ask for flowers, but Scooby's lover wants her man to destroy the curse. But she helped, you know? Nova gave Scooby all the deets. How the entity toyed with 4 humans and an animal to his escape, and also told Scooby the key to destroy him. Find the heart of a jaguar. Scooby managed to destroy the entity's sarcophagus, and he, with all his minions, was sucked into the void. However, Nova was still possessed. Yet, she thanked Scooby and his friends, telling him that he was the bravest dog ever. Aww. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. Okay, time for the last monster, and it's the one and only Black Knight Ghost from the 2004 movie Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. I'm guessing all of you remember why this entry is special. The haunted suit of armor, aka the Black Knight Ghost, was one of the first major cases of Mystery Inc., which turned out to be the disguise of a former criminal, Jeremiah Wickles. However, this time around, it was not a disguise. The Black Knight Ghost was actually brought to life, and that too with other monsters. When Mystery Inc. visited the grand opening of a Coulsonian Criminology Museum, which showcased the costumes from their past cases, the event turned into a horror roller coaster. An evil masked figure and a supernatural version of a pterodactyl ghost stole 2 costumes and declared the gang's downfall. After a whole lot of mayhem, the evil masked figure unleashed the monsters on Coolsville, and the second one to be let loose was the Black Knight Ghost. The Knight attacked Scooby and Shaggy, and when Fred tried to overpower him using a sword and shield, he easily defeated him. The Knight even fought Daphne with his ghostly soul, and she could only escape when Velma struck him. In the end, Velma channeled the electricity from the 10,000 volt ghost into the Black Knight, which caused him to explode. Thank God. I was having palpitations reliving this tension. Alright guys, that was quite a ride. I'm sure these stories and deadly monsters would change how we looked at Mystery Inc. For those who thought they never really had to deal with an actual ghost or creature, there you go. And Scooby, my boy, is a real hero. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!